it's Alison solving with Stamp Crazy with Alison, and today I wanted to show you another project using the Snowflake Showcase. These are products that are exclusive to Stampin' Up and will only be sold during November 2018. So starting November 1st, you can place your order for any of these 5 new limited edition products, but they are only available until November 30th or while supplies last. So if you really love them, you should pick them up as close to November 1st as you can. So let me show you, this is the flyer that is on my blog at stampcrazywithalison.com, and you can, there's a downloadable click there for you so you can download it and print it out. So let me show you the stamp. There's some stamp sets, there's some Thinlits, some paper, and some embellishments. First of all, there are 2 stamp sets. One of them is called Snow is Glistening, which has a snowflake theme, as you can see, but beautiful fonts and actually beautiful sayings, really, really nice sentiments. And then the other one is Happiness Surrounds. This is more of a spring, summer type of stamp set. Although both of them can be used any time of the year, obviously, for birthdays, winter birthdays, or other occasions. So the thing that's really cool about these is that there is one set of dies that goes with both stamp sets. So let me show you that. The dies are called Snowfall Thinlits Dies, which is a bit of a misnomer because it makes it sound like they're only for the Snow is Glistening stamp set, and they're actually for both. So here's what they look like. You get 20 dies, which is a lot of dies. Some of them are what we call Thinlit dies. Now Thinlits mean that you can cut out a shape. And in this case, there's lots of snowflakes, but there's also some flowers. And they also include a framelit die. And when we say framelit, we mean that they frame a specific stamp. So that stamp, if you were to stamp it, you could cut it out exactly using this framelit. So that's the difference between framelits and Thinlits. And the great thing is that, as I said, this covers off both stamp sets. So that's really cool. So let me put that aside. Next we have the Snowflake Trinkets. Now you get 20 trinkets, and there's 2 designs and 10 of each. So really pretty. And they're not very heavy, so you can add them to your project that you're mailing and not worry about having to add extra postage. So Snowflake Trinkets. And then the last product are 2 12 by 12 white velvet sheets. And I'm not sure if you can see this. But it's got a velvet finish, and so it is really gorgeous. It's literally white velvet paper, and it just makes beautiful snowflakes for your cards. Here's my card for today, and I'm going to start by embossing the pieces that I need, or using the die cut Big Shot to either emboss or die cut. So first of all, the background piece here, Whisper White, is embossed using the Layered Leaves the Layered Leaves embossing folder. Now this is quite a thick embossing folder, so I wanted to show you how you put this through the Big Shot. So you're going to take your thin adapter out. You don't need that. And you're going to take your die and you're going to place your piece of cardstock inside, and then place it right on the platform, and then 1 cutting plate on top, and that's it, because it's a thicker die. Okay, the next thing I want to emboss is this little piece here, and I chose the Scattered Sequins embossing folder, and again, it is a dynamic folder, which means it's thicker, so same idea. Put your paper in, put it right onto the platform, and then you've got your clear plate that goes on top. The next step is to do some embossing. Now I've taken the Stitched Shapes framelits, and I've got 2 sizes of squares here, and I'm going to take my Lemon Lime Twist cardstock, and I'm going to place 1 frame down And then I'm going to place the other one inside, and I'm just going to eyeball where that's going to be. And the sandwich for that is the Big Shot platform, and then the thin die adapter, so it just raises it a little bit. You got a clear plate. Then we've got our cardstock and our framelit dies here, one inside the other. And then another clear plate on top, and you're going to run that through the Big Shot. And when you do, you end up with a piece that looks like this. So you've got your frame, which I need for my card, and then I get an extra little piece here that I'm going to save and use on another project. So I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to need that. Then I've got my other colored pieces here. I've got a Granny Apple Green, I've got a Calypso Coral, Bermuda Bay, and Berry Burst. And I'm going to grab the Thinlits that I need for this. So one of the Thinlits I'm going to use is this flower design. And then I've also got this little flower. And I've got this kind of different looking foliage here. And then what I really like is that in this die set, you actually get two of these leaves. One faces towards the left and one faces towards the right. So I really like that. So I would just place those again on my Big Shot platform with the following sandwich. I'd have my platform, my thin die adapter, my little pieces. I'd run all through at the same time, and then I'd top it off with the cutting plate. So that's the sandwich. So here we go. We've got the flower, we've got the two leaves, we've got another flower, and another little piece of foliage here. So let's start putting this card together. Okay, so here we go. I've got my embossed pieces, so I'm going to start by just putting those on my card front. Add some snail. I prefer to build my card from the base up, because as I add each layer, if I did it all on one layer and then tried to add it to the front of my card, sometimes it's a bit bulky to get the glue on, so I prefer to do it like this. For this piece, I thought it would be a little bit nicer if I popped it up with some dimensionals. So I'm just going to place my dimensionals on my piece here. I'm going to put one in the middle because it's a larger piece. And my tip that I've shared over the years is if you press on this backing, it comes right off. So just put your nail in there. I'm just going to center that. Then the next piece I want to add is my little frame that I cut out. Now, I could use dimensionals and I can cut up my dimensionals. However, we have these great adhesive strips, foam strips, which I just love because I can cut these to the size of my frame and I don't miss any pieces. And the other thing that's really great about these is that if you were doing a shaker card with a frame like this, these are great because they hold all the stuff that you've put on the inside, all your sequins or your dazzling diamonds or whatever you've put inside in place. And it's just much easier to work with. If you're using a round shape, these actually can be curved. You can just curve them and put them in any shape. So once I've got that all on there, I'm going to make sure they're stuck down, and then I can go ahead and remove the backs of these. All right, so once I'm ready to place that down, I can center it, and there we go. Next up are all my little pieces, and I just want to place those on my frame. I kind of do a dry run here, just sort of see where I'd like to place these pieces, and I'm thinking kind of layered like this, and I'm going to finish with this flower to cover up those stems. Okay, so I find the simplest way to add this is with the multi-purpose glue. I really like this glue because I can control it quite easily. Just add, if you can see, I'm just adding little daubs. And here's a tip. If you let this dry just a little bit before you go and stick it on, it will actually become quite tacky and just a bit, it'll just be less globby. Is that a word? Less globby. So you can And you can manipulate it, which I really like. And it also dries clear, so you can't see it if you happen to get a little bit where you don't want it. So again, I'm just going to run it down my little leaf there. Hardly put any on, just a little bit to hold it in place. Now you could also, of course, stick your paper onto one of our adhesive sheets, the cardstock, and then run it through the big shot with the dies on top, and then you'll be able to just peel them right off and they'll have glue on them. But for some projects, if I don't think about it ahead of time, I just use my glue, and it's really, really simple. And you can see that none of it's showing, so it looks really great. Now this piece here, I am going to use a dimensional, and I'm going to use one of these little mini ones. We've got two sizes of dimensionals, so I'm just going to use the little tiny guys because I thought it would be nicer to have it popped up here. So just pop it up just like that. Okay. Now, the only thing I want to do to finish this off is to have a sentiment here. So I'm going to add a sentiment, congratulations, from the Happiness Surround stamp set, and they are photopolymer, so you can see exactly where you're stamping. I'm going to take in a little strip here to stamp on. And I always use my embossing buddy to take off any stray fingerprints or oils from my piece that I want to emboss, just so I don't get any stray pieces of embossing powder. And as I said, I'm just going to move this down so I can see what I'm stamping. I'm going to stamp that. And I'm going to put a little piece of paper under here just to catch my embossing powder so that I can replace it. I just dump all my embossing powder on. And then if you turn it over carefully and just give it a little flick like that, you'll see that all the stray pieces are taken off. And because I use my embossing buddy, it's not going to stick to anything but where I use my Versamark ink. Okay, so next up I want to heat set this. So I'm going to get my heat gun, or my heat tool. I set it to 2, and I always heat it up away from my project, so because I want it warm, so that when I place it near my project, it's ready to heat right away, and it's not warming up on my actual project. I've also just got my snips here that I'm going to hold my piece of paper in place with, because I find that sometimes the air from the heat tool will make my piece fly across the table, which sometimes isn't a good thing. So you're just going to start by heating on one side, and then as it heats and sets, you're going to move it across your piece. Okay, so there we go. It's all done. And just let that cool for a minute. And when you're ready, you can attach it to your project. Okay, so that's cooled down, and I am just going to add my snail. And I cut this so that it would fit just across the bottom of my piece, like so. And then the last thing I'm going to add is a rhinestone to the center here. And I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool. I love this. It's got this little putty that comes out, and you just grab your rhinestone and place it where you want. Love it. Isn't that cool? Okay, so that's my card for today, using the Snowflake Showcase products, and specifically the Happiness Surrounds stamp set and the dies that match the Happiness Surround from the Snowfall Thinlits Dies. I just want to show you another card. Now this one is the same design and almost the same colors, but this time I've made it a shaker card. So I've just put some window sheet here, and I've put some of our dazzling diamonds inside and just made it a snow card. But the same elements, except for the embossing folder here is the swirls and curls. And this is actually, I'd made this card before I got the new stamp set. I made this with the Blizzard bundle from the Holiday Mini, but you obviously could change this up to the snowflakes that come in the Thinlits dies, the Snowfall Thinlits dies, which would be just as easy to do. Okay, so those are 2 cards using those products. And I just wanted to show you a couple more cards that I'm not going to be featuring in videos, but that I will have on my blog. So I've got same elements here. This one here uses the same similar colors here, and this time I've used more of the stamps from the Happiness Around stamp set, and I've used pearls instead of some rhinestones, and then I just layered this on the card, and I think that's really pretty. I just love these elements that you can create with the dies. And then lastly, I've taken a similar sketch, if you want, as you can see here. I've just changed up the colors, changed up the embossing folders, changed the shape, and you can see that it just makes a different card altogether, which is really kind of sweet. And again, it's using the Happiness Surrounds stamp set. So I hope you've enjoyed the project I've shared today. And if you'd like anything from my store, you can go to stampcrazywithallison.com and you'll find a link there to my store. And you'll also find more information about this card, including the measurements on how to make it. So thank you so much, and happy stamping.